time. So we're going to start our third panel of the day. We have looked at the numbers, and we have seen a relatively small but growing opportunity in oil and non-flower. We've talked to the oil barons, and we've talked about standards, we talked about packaging, we talked about quality controlled dosing, right? And then we just talked about edibles, which is kind of what everybody thinks about when they think about non-flower, right? If I'm not smoking it and I'm not vaping it, I'm probably eating it, right? But this is a category, the topicals category, is fascinating because it is enormous, right? And so when we say topicals, we mean everything that is not smoked and everything that is not eaten, right? So it's applied on your body. We're going to have some definitions, but it's wide. It appeals to the medical market and has for a long time, right? It appeals to the recreational market, particularly those older consumers. Seniors are really hot about topicals. It also includes hemp, right? We're talking about CBD, and now people are making topicals with hemp. And so the marketplace is, wait, CBD hemp, CBD cannabis, same thing, different thing, what is that? And now we're also, because of Warner, we're able to sell here in Washington State health and beauty aids in non-regulated stores. And we're going to talk about how that is and what that means. But coming from a traditional retail or product background, I can tell you that the health and beauty category is enormous, and it will dwarf flower, and it will dwarf medical. This is available, and the applications are really unlimited, and we're going to talk about a category that's tiny today, and yet these four folks are innovating product categories. They're creating new categories, they're creating new legislation, they're creating new product demand, and some really kick-ass brands in the meantime. So this is a really exciting panel. I want to start with, let's see who I've got up here first. I'm going to start with Warner from Cannabis Basics, and then I'll work my way down.
Hello, my name's Warner, and I'm the founder and CEO of Cannabis Basics. And I'm not sure if everybody knows, but Cannabis Basics was born in 1995. So the first 16 years of production was based on hemp seed oil, rich in omega-6 and 3. It also has anti-inflammatory properties. About 4 years ago, a friend of mine, the owner and founder of Puget Sound Health Alternatives in the Magnolia area, asked me to help him open up his dispensary. I jumped back into cannabis, adding cannabinoids to my already award-winning hemp products, and now 4 years later we have 20 SKUs. We have two separate lines. We have 14 products that are here in Washington State that have THC in them, all less than 0.3% THC, and then we have another 6 products that are hemp seed oil only and available nationally and internationally. We don't use any chemical preservatives, no man-made fragrance oils, and we just are thrilled to be here that after, 17, 18 years of business, I'm actually paying my mortgage with my company, and I actually, it's not just a passion and a hobby, it truly is, a living. So couldn't be happier to be here.
Fantastic. And to Oz left, we have Megan Schwarting, Kush Creams, another major brand here in the category. Tell us about the Kush Cream story.
Hi, my name is Megan Schwarting. I'm the owner and founder of Kush Creams. We started in, I'd say before 2010, but licensed business licenses, paying taxes since 2010. At the height of medical, we were in 350 stores, not that many anymore. There was probably about 10 dispensaries when we first opened up with Kush Creams, which was kind of exciting to watch the whole marketplace grow. We were among the original vendors at the cannabis farmers markets, and every week it went from not having 10 dispensaries to deliver to with brick and mortars to the next week 20, to the next week 30, and it was just so awesome. It was watching these people, literally you could watch them walk through, like that's going to be a shop owner next week, that's going to be a shop owner. You could see them shopping for their brands, and now these people are making it medical, making it in 502. And a lot of those people I knew from years and years of being a commercial black market grower. And so that's how we got a lot of our traction, was commercially growing, winning our first Cannabis Cup in 2008 down in Oregon, first place for Tangerine Dream. And I think we have over 16 Cannabis Cup trophies, first place, and prestigious industry awards for Kush Creams. That's gained us a lot of nationwide media coverage. We've been featured in everything from New York Times, National Geographic, Time Magazine, Self, Sports Illustrated, Outside Magazine. Even had the outspoken usage by the Pacific Northwest Ballet last year in the Time book, which has been awesome for propelling us along with the professional sports. I'm proud to be independently owned and operated, one of the only ones I like in a lot of the 502 world. I know some of us else are, but also licensed into Oregon, California, licensed medical gardens in Oregon and California. And I just got our trademark registered. We have an official federal trademark, which is super exciting. I know some other ones at the table also finally gotten it through after I was on my 4th time of applying. It was really exciting to actually get through and get past and go through the objection period and being transparent on what was on my trademark. Not fully with cannabis, but with hemp. And that's huge because there's hardly any other Kushes that are a registered trademark that are for anything besides apparel. So I'm super proud of that one. And it's always been around the trademark attorney's opinion on cannabis. It took, lots of people turning me down, telling me to waste my money, and me just continuing to do it again. So keep trying.
Right on. Ed Lafferty, Ethos.
Hi, I'm Edward Lafferty, Ethos Extracts. I come from a background naturopathic medicine. I had a hemp soap company in Canada in like '99. We got shut down with the same sting that stung Tommy Chong after 9/11 when hemp kind of went illegal for a couple of months. Topicals are certainly the thing that I was most excited about putting into 502. I certainly, with the emergence of the legal industry, didn't want just this 502 to be considered just fun and games. Topicals are something that I think are very, very important to present, especially right at the onset of 502, because they go directly against the Schedule 1 classification. They don't get you high, and they have this obvious benefit. And they get the people into the stores who wouldn't otherwise be into the stores. People who don't necessarily want to get high. They make, there's something that everybody feels comfortable giving to their parents and, or, people who wouldn't get into the store. And pain talks. That's a very important thing. I mean, when you can put something on your knee and it stops hurting, that really wins over hearts and minds. So we did, my experience in the medical world in Washington, I ran a couple of grows. I wasn't comfortable selling in Washington State with medical, so what we did is we used our communal grows as R&D, so I made probably about 30,000 topicals and forced people to take them for free with a feedback form. We found some phenomenal things using that with also the data we were getting from the labs. Really, interesting things. And then, the things that people are using, really powerful pain topicals for are continuing to blow even our mind, exceed our expectations. People are using this external product for a very, very deep internal pain sometimes. We do a full plant extract, so CO2 oil in all of our edibles and topicals only. But with our topicals, we do a cellulose extraction from the stem and inner bark and an alkaloid extraction from the root material. The cannabis roots are the traditional Chinese topical. Again, bud tenders can't necessarily talk about what that does or why it happens, but it certainly works really well. It's a 4-step heat and oil process that we do, cleaning them and crushing them. Very excited, obviously, to be here. Every time I have a microphone in front of us, I always like to thank Warner, sitting 2 seats down from us. Now, the nice thing about topicals, certainly in the industry, and that it is, maybe that it was small, is we have a very nice trade association. Most of us there, sitting up at this table.
This is it right here.
Yeah, there's a bunch of us, but it's a very friendly, it has been a very, very friendly organization. And it doesn't mean to say that the topical market in 502 isn't very competitive. You may go into a store and you think, there's not many topicals in the store, but you can ask, there's a bunch of retail owners in the store right now. There are probably about 25 different topicals in 502 right now that are trying to be produced, because you don't need a kitchen to make them. So it is something a lot of people think is really easy to do. And it's great, but the good thing about topicals is pain talks. You know, if it works really well, you know, give it to somebody that you know, is in acute pain, and you know, the quality products end up selling themselves. So it works very, very well. But.
And you were, am I correct in saying you were one of the first 502 topicals to hit the market?
Yeah, certainly one of the first.
Right. And so what have you learned in this past year as the market is emerging?
So I believe in, you know, this is our trade association is really a health and beauty aids trade association. I think it's very, very good for beauty, if you will. Part of our R&D, you know, we all started to get all these comments from like our families about how good our skin looks. So, you know, it's something I certainly believe in. So I have beauty products, if you will, in the 502 market. But with the restrictions that the bud tenders have, they're not allowed to speak about any medical
You're not allowed to
issues.
speak about medical, but are you allowed to speak about beauty?
Well, you're not actually allowed to speak about any, in a sense, like therapeutic effect or even like effects are even kind of
Not
tough.
even, not
So,
wrinkles,
I mean,
or this will make it.
yeah, you can't say it's gonna. Yeah, you can't, and you wouldn't anyways, because there isn't the data. We would never want to just say that, you know, that what it's going to do with, you know,
Your
wrinkles
nose
or,
oil
you know,
over
or
there.
even. But you know, all we basically say is your skin has a lot of endocannabinoid receptors. But the truth is, you know, those products aren't selling in 502. The truth is, pain talks. People are in there for pain. It's a phenomenal new thing. You know, the fastest growing market in 502 is you know, the 45 and older crowd. You know, the young people are always going to basically try cannabis in around the same numbers, but it's the people that are coming back because the alternatives are so you know, absolutely horrible. And so when you can take literally, you know, somebody off a corticosteroid or an opiate, you know, pain relief, you know, and topicals are just really interesting. The whole self doesn't have to get high because you have a sore knee. So.
Right on. Graham Sorkin from Mary's Medicinals.
Thank you. Graham Sorkin here. I'm the Director of Business Development at Mary's Medicinals. Mary's was founded in 2012 in Colorado, and since then we've actually branched out and licensed into 6 states. As of this past month, we just launched Vermont, Arizona, Oregon, California, Colorado, and Washington. We're best known for our transdermal cannabis patch. We've also since then branched out into a whole line of complementary products beyond topical and transdermal as well. Our latest product we just launched in Colorado is actually a cannabinoid-infused protein powders and green powders, so alternatives to using
Nutritionals,
fresh
right?
cannabis.
Mary's Nutritionals?
Yep, so those are actually through the Medicinals line. We've got Mary's Medicinals, which is the overarching brand, Mary's Nutritionals, our CBD line, which is distributed nationwide, and then Mary's Pets as well. So whole line of products for your pets.
And you work on all those products?
Yes, so I actually work for the team out of Colorado. No, I live here in Seattle, but.
So tell me about tell me a little bit about the pain market from a transdermal. That's a whole new category, right? You're not talking about creams and lotions, which have been around for a while, but patches. You know, tell me about that innovation and how that's being received.
Definitely. So one of the key differences that a lot of people, it takes a little bit of education, is the difference between topical and transdermal. Typically, people think of a topical product, you rub it on your knee, it's going to help your knee. Transdermal products actually going to absorb through all layers of the skin and be absorbed into the bloodstream. You get a systemic effect from it.
Not just localized.
Exactly. So that's a key differentiator. A lot of patients are finding a lot of success using it for a lot of different conditions. Like Ed said, I basically get patients coming to us with conditions I've never heard of. And I'm glad to hear that it works well for your dystonia or whatnot. But of course, that's one of the challenges as well, especially in 502. We can't even use the word medicinal. Our products sold here actually through the licensee Cannabis products.
So tell me how a license relationship works as opposed to Megan and all who started in their garages or kitchens and started to create. This is a licensing deal. Tell me how that works state by state, if you will.
Yeah, so our founder started the company in Colorado and found a team out here, Circana. They're in 502, based in Soto, and they've got a whole line of products, nectar oil and Mary's and Ochor. And basically, we license the technology, we send out our team to make sure everyone's trained up and creating everything to the same standards, using same technology, same IP, and pretty...
So your partner here has to be majority owner, right? Is that
yes, so it's basically a royalty arrangement because, of course, franchises are completely not allowed.
Right.
So we work with the team. Nobody here is an employee of Mary's in Colorado. I'm sort of a unique case because I don't work for Circana, I work for Mary's.
You work, yeah. So you're managing the license arrangement is essentially what that is, right?
In a way, yes. They basically run with it. We set them up to make the products. They've got everything they need. They source everything locally. We don't have any ownership in Circana or in any of the other states where we operate.
Right. And so you're leveraging a dominant brand in Colorado to go into these other states, and then line extension into pets and into now edibles as well. Is that correct?
Exactly, yes.
Okay. So contrast that with your approach, and if you would just take a couple of minutes and set up the CHABA law, because that's unique to Washington, and I'm not sure if everybody understands how radically that's changed in the last few months.
Well, so CHABA, Cannabis Health and Beauty Aids, basically we took the, if you go into Whole Foods and want to get an arnica cream on the shelves, you talk to the HABA buyer. So all I did was put cannabis in front of it for CHABA. But what's significant about that in my marketplace, I just want to say that my marketplace, my sole marketplace, well, I shouldn't say that. Medical still exists for as long as that does. As soon as it transfers to medical endorsed 502, I will no longer be able to sell to those buyers. But what I have been able to do is co-author legislation with Carrie Boyder and Doug Hyatt, and actually thank you Senator Colwells and Sidney Forrester, who's the Senate writer. There were a lot of people that were part of this new CHABA law. Basically what we passed on July 1st, and it is now law enacted, is that products less than 0.3% THC, non-intoxicating, and topical use are now defined by law as CHABA. And actually, the significant part is I can sell to any mainstream buyer. I can sell to anybody but 502 buyers, actually, is the irony. But the more significant thing about this legislation is that it is the very first removal of any marijuana out of the state, Washington State Controlled Substances Act. This is a huge thing. Like, we have this huge CSA, it's this block, and we just chipped off the block of everything that's under the Controlled Substances Act. Would love to see this go federal. Would love to be able to sell my products across the state line, but for right now, any store in the state of Washington, including stores like Bartell's and Ace Hardware and whoever basically wants to carry it, except for 502 buyers.
So you were traditionally medical, but you also had hemp, which meant you could sell anywhere, like Hemp Fest Central and those kinds of venues, right? And then you're looking at the health and beauty aids, which is not 502, just regular retail, right? And in the middle now is the munging of medical as it comes into 502. How's that going to impact your business?
It's actually not the medical, and I do want to just make sure that we all are on the same place as these categories. First, there's, from the 90s, back in the day, cannabis, industrial hemp, hemp seed oil. This was the first cannabis topical, other than we're talking like ancient history. We were using marijuana. So, but commercial-wise, cannabis health and beauty aids, hemp body care is the first category. And then we have the newly defined by Washington State, hemp body care products. In the middle, cannabis health and beauty aids, topicals less than 0.3% THC. And then on the far spectrum, which ironically can be sold in 502 stores, are medical grade topicals. Those topicals higher in 0.3% concentration, and for more serious medical use, like we're talking skin cancer applications and all of that. And I just did want to clarify one thing about transdermal. Yes, Mary's products are designed transdermally, designed to go in the bloodstream, designed to cross the blood barrier, but actually many of the terpenes and CHABA does get into your bloodstream. It's just not in a high enough level of THC concentration to cause intoxication.
Absolutely.
So it actually, so when you smell lavender, it actually does go through and it crosses the blood-brain barrier. So just wanted to clarify that.
Fantastic. Thank you. I want to go back to the pets thing because we didn't mention that. Where can I buy pet products?
Right now, we're selling them online in all 50 states and also in a handful of retail stores. Getting into more stores.
Cannabis-infused pet products not regulated?
So, technically classified as hemp, the plants that we are extracting the CBD
It's
from
all
for
hemp,
that.
okay.
We get into a little bit of a gray area with the CBD plants that we're growing in Colorado where start with some traditional flowering female plants that are very high in CBD and below that 0.3% threshold of THC. And the Colorado Department of Ag came through and certified us and said, this is hemp now. So we're able to use these
And that's
plants.
almost a crop by crop basis, right? Some of her.
It is, everything needs to be tested, and we need to be very careful. If that crosses that 0.3%, the whole field is trash.
That's right.
And it's actually 2 states, it's Kentucky and
as well.
Colorado.
Right.
We actually don't do a pet line at all, but we have a product that is continually being sold in Washington State by what we call our bold buyers, people that have used Kush creams personally for themselves, on to now they have had customers tell them that it works for pet hotspots, it works for pet pads and water resistance in the pads. You can purchase it at multiple natural pet food stores in Washington State. Kush creams, hemp, and then Kush creams medicated. A lot of them kept the medicated under the shelf, and now I've noticed they put it out on the regular shelves. And these are where the pet shop owner was using the same product on his face for shingles. I mean, he's like, this is such a weird deal. And so if people are gonna do what they want with the products, it works, yeah.
That's a
Please, Graham.
That's a great point. We actually came up with the pet line because so many people were telling us that they were having success using our human products on their animals. So basically just tweak the formulation and the dosing, and there we go, pet products.
Yeah, pets are the unknown marketplace, even in 502 for sure. We're not allowed to market anything for pets. We do a lot of edibles, oral sprays and tinctures that are, no filler, so it's just oil. And I mean, we get a lot of feedback that, hey, I'm giving this to my old dog. And it's an unknown marketplace that is certainly big. There's, movement into it. We're not allowed to market it that way in 502 yet.
Yeah. So going from old dogs to old people. How's that for a seg? I want to talk about that because historically, when we think about the 502, when we think about the commercial cannabis or marijuana market, we do think rec, we do think a little bit younger, we think relaxation. You're talking about potential consumers who are not cannabis, would not self-identify as traditional marijuana smokers or part of the cannabis culture, and yet really represents, I would suggest, a huge marketplace. How do you reach grandma who doesn't know about your product and is not going into either the dispensaries or the rec stores?
Word of mouth. Like pain talks. So it is that, a kid gives it to a parent and the parent tells everybody. It really makes a big difference, and that's how people are coming in. It is really and we're not allowed to talk about it anyways, but...
is that a PR strategy? If I were a budding company, could I do that? Could I go out and say, well, let's talk about the patients and how they're consuming this category and less about, hey, buy my product?
It's a great PR system for sure, just to be able, open up the discussion to speak about it. And that it is happening in chemotherapy rooms all over the country.
Besides that word of mouth, are you participating in outreach? Are you in those waiting rooms? Are you talking to doctors or?
So we actually just had an event where Rossmore is this huge senior center in Northern California. It's the biggest in the state. They've got a medical cannabis club with over 300 members. So we actually had an opportunity to go out and introduce our products and speak to them. So we're always looking for opportunities like that to get in front of these people who would never smoke a joint. They would never take a dab. But if you can introduce a product that's a form factor that they're more comfortable with, them and their caregivers, it's something that's a lot more approachable.
Yeah, and actually, I'm a guiding member of Normal Women of Washington, and right now we have several campaigns going on. One of them is that we go in and we do educational talks at communities, at senior centers, actually. Two things when it comes to cannabis topicals and older people. One, they think it's cool. They are so excited to even have a little small connection to this thing that's happening, to this groundswell that's happening. They really think that it's cool. And I just wanted to let you know that one of my favorite accounts is a place up in Bellingham called Where on Earth. It's a yarn store. It's all these older ladies that just want to be able to crochet and knit without the arthritic pain in their hands. And so they go in and they buy these cannabis products, and they're able, not only they don't have to get their hands greasy to do it, they can apply it. It's working really, really well for arthritis.
So your outreach is done through Normal
Women of Washington.
Women of Washington. Tell me how Kush is reaching out. How are you educating non-cannabis users about this new category?
I think we finally came up with a term that cannabis topicals are the gateway drug, the other direction back from all of the prohibition and the reefer madness era. It's kind of like the one thing that can possibly open up the doors to grandma or auntie. And I find more satisfaction in the gifts that we give away to bud tenders who are 20-something and don't have pain, but they're able to give it to their mom, their auntie, their grandma, and now they have that firsthand.
So tell me about how challenging is that? You come in with a product that might be for us 50 plus folks, and you're talking to a 25-year-old bud tender who's really good at the shatter and the concentrates, not so good on what this cream is about.
We believe that the proof's in the pudding with Kush Creams. I have always provided on my own
Just
time to
sampling,
time as a
education.
countertop tester. With every single 10 ounces they buy, they get 4 ounces for free for the patients to try. And there's so many people that would never try these products, but after they check out of that dispensary or that access point, 10, 20 times they finally put a pump on at the register, and they still don't believe it firsthand because they didn't have the pain. Now, you give the bud tender that cream, they're able to give it to somebody and they have that firsthand testimonial. I feel that just putting it on people's bodies in their hands is the best.
Yeah, I just wanted to add one thing to that. I just want to take the opportunity. I know we're moving into 502 to a recreational market, and I know that every processor and their sister is now planning on putting a topical into the 502 market, but I please just want to take a moment to thank companies like Topical Way, Vita Verde, Kush Creams, Cannabis Basics, that did all of the original education here in the state of Washington and actually built the foundation of this topical marketplace.
Yeah, let's hear it for it.
I want to add something to that. As I was walking into that first original 9 dispensaries or access points that were opened up in 2010 in Washington, and having to talk these people into buying a product that was not going to get their patients high, and why they should buy that, and why I wasn't going to consign it to them, and all these different things, and having to literally talk people into it. It was really a lot of education. Yeah, it was a challenge constantly, every single time.
I think that's a huge point, is the non-psychotropic products. It started out as a challenge, but now we get so many people coming to us saying, which one won't get me high? Which one's going to help without getting me stoned? Because they are grandmas.
Right.
They are people who are a different audience than 502 is really targeting in general.
Right. And it's interesting because you're talking about different benefits. You're not talking about potency. THC doesn't really matter in terms of percentage. You're not getting a cream because it's got more of a product, unless you think that's effective. But talk to me a little bit about these new product categories. Let's talk about sex and sex oil and any of you guys.
You want to hear the good opinion or
Well,
the
so
or
I've
bad
heard,
opinion?
and I know I've spoken to Aude, she's outspoken.
Let it go first.
So I want to talk about sex.
Yeah.
Is that a growing category? No pun intended.
Absolutely, yeah. And again, the way I say pain talks, it works. So it increases blood flow and sensitivity. So figure it out. It does work really, really well. It's an interesting thing. Certainly. Yeah, we do. We have an infused. It's actually considered an edible. We had a massage oil. It had 8 different cold pressed oils in it. It was developed with massage therapists. It had great absorbability and glide and all that kind of stuff. Gave a couple thousand of them out, and everybody had sex with it. Because they have heard in social media, hey, you can have sex with this thing. So we had to take all of the oils out and just use pure coconut oil, which is the only oil that is safe to be used internally. And it's nice and antimicrobial, pH balanced for the human body. So, it seemed like it was fun. It seems like it's all about fun. It's sex. So it seemed like this, fun sort of thing to put in there. If it is coconut oil based, we're a very natural company. We didn't want to do a silicone based lube. As it's coconut oil based, you aren't supposed to use it with condoms. And I think everybody that's kind of putting one out has that labeled on there. But the truth is, the real market again. We kind of was expecting it to be a younger marketplace, fun. People would get it as gifts. But the real marketplace is 45 and older. And that is because it's a time when something like that is needed. It's a time when lubrication is needed. It's a market that understands you're only supposed that coconut oil is the best one to use. So again, it's this one. I felt like we had to put it out there in a clean version, register it with the LCB as an edible product. But it's one of the ones we get a lot of feedback and grateful feedback.
How are sales? How are sales versus your other SKUs?
Pain is certainly the
Pain first,
pain
pleasure
first.
second.
Pleasure second. It's a growing market, but again, it's an older crowd, and the people are very grateful to get it. And it's saving sex lives. You know, which is a crazy thing to be able to think about it. But, yeah.
Megan, let's talk about sex. Kush Cream's gonna get into the sex.
We produced a lube back in 2010 and called it Push Cream. I pulled it off the marketplace early 2011 due to internal usage concerns.
So let me just preface this by saying that I have a bachelor's degree in women's studies and specialize in sex studies from the University of Washington. So my concern in Cannabis Basics does not make a lube or a self-play product right now. And my concern, I think that all the companies that have something out there, my concern is that coconut oil is not compatible with latex condoms. So what I'm asking of my allies and my competitors, and thank you for hearing my plea, is that if these products are going to be out there and they absolutely will work, it's a vasodilator. So it actually makes sense to use these products in sex, is that it needs to be in a monogamous or a relationship that doesn't require condoms, because coconut oil does break down latex. And so and then the silicone products, so there's coconut oil and silicone derived, or they're using that as the medium. Those could possibly create issues with flora and fauna of female anatomy. So there's two different types of product. Each one of them has issues. I do think that the coconut oil is the better way to go, and I just would ask that anybody producing this product have a serious warning label, like can't get into the container until you read not compatible with latex condoms, because my concern is that we will be encouraging our young kids, because they're going to think, oh, cannabis and sex, yeah, whatever. Doesn't matter what the warnings are, that they're not going to be having safe sex, and that's the last thing I want for our culture, is to be promoting unsafe sex between our youth. So that's my 2
Grant?
cents.
That's one we've talked about a lot. It's a fun idea, but people always thought it just didn't fit with the brand. We always joke about creating a secondary sister brand. It would be like Jane's products that are all the stuff that wouldn't fit with Mary's. All the stuff that gets you really high, or
prude.
a little freakier.
Mary's
Too bad. All right, let's open it up. Who wants to talk to our topical folks?
What does it do to the latex? What's the
It breaks
issue?
it down.
Oh, just literally like
Coconut
you'll have a
oil.
condom that you won't.
Makes it
Will
brittle,
disappear.
breaks it down.
Any oil in the
Many oils are not compatible.
Literally
Like,
will just melt it?
no, it makes it brittle and they break.
Oh, I got it. Yes, sir.
So am I understanding that there's is coming a process where some lot 502 tier 3 product can wind up on the shelf of Bartels? Is there
No.
some way to track it through?
No.
So where does the
Talk about sourcing, how you're gonna source for non-502.
Well, so the thing is, I'm not a 502 producer processor. If I was a 502 producer processor, as the law goes right now, I would not be able to sell in the mainstream marketplace. So, I'm a Chaba producer. I produce from the collective garden system. And so there's a conversation now with the Liquor Control Board about how I source after July 1st, because after July 1st, I basically become a criminal again.
We're all pretty altruistic up here. We really believe in the power of the plant. We love the whole plant, that kind of thing. But there is, of course, the CBD market that everybody kind of knows about, that'll be, will be in Whole Foods and that kind of
That's
thing
right.
fairly soon. Luckily it's not nearly as effective as a product made from the full plant. THC, especially in topicals, also is a very, very important component of it. But that's one of the ways. We can't do that as 502 people.
Question from the press.
Thank you. Shango Lowe's from Ganjapreneur.com. So as Al was saying, we're expecting a lot of new topicals in the 502 market very quickly. Can you speak a little bit for the product developers in the room, what are some of the distinguishing factors between products that product developers can look at to set their topical apart from their competitors?
It's got to work.
Efficacy.
Yeah, branding.
Ingredients.
Yeah, ingredient. I mean,
fragrances.
I
all
would just
those
say,
things.
my biggest advice for the processors that are actually thinking about putting a topical place on the market, in the 502 market, and that's that market, and I have no investment in that market, is that please do your research and development. Please take the time to vet these products. Do the research. Do not just put something, do not take a pre-made lotion, put your THC in there, call it a topical product, and throw it on the market. Please make sure that you do, your intra, company testing of it before you put it on the marketplace. Because one, if you put it on the marketplace and it doesn't work or it has adverse effects, it's only going to deteriorate your brand. So you have to be really super careful about it. That would be my number one advice for 502 new topical producers.
And just as 502's repeating, medical was 5-6 years ago, out of the 350 dispensary shelves that we graced, probably I watched 100 to 150 of them try to produce a salve, topical, or some type of product. They continued to carry our products alongside of it. They discontinued our products only to, once again, carry our line, because it's a lot of work, it's expensive to do it right, and it's got to work. I mean, that's just the thing, is I think a lot of people think it's kind of like mixing stuff together, and there's a whole process to it. And so out of all of the different people that were thinking they were going to throw this as their in-house, in-store product, they're not at the table now.
And just, dollars and cents.
Yeah.
If you're thinking I'm going to save $10,000 by not doing the R&D, or I'll just do it, and just the investment into R&D, we can probably make this is dollars and cents. We can probably make a product that uses less THC that'll be just as effective. So our margins can end up being a little bit larger. And to come up and match that is really just the investment you put into R&D.
To give you guys an idea, out of the 250,000 tubs or roughly or so, which is 1 ounces that we've sold, we've given away definitely that many in the first 5 years.
Wish me one.
1 to 1.
Yeah, I would say between the Chesters and then what we give out.
That's why there's a market.
Yeah.
I was wondering, so if we took a bath in this stuff, nobody would get high afterwards?
We have a natural path that works for Kush Creams 2 to 4 days a month, and I hear her often overtelling patients, you can swim in a tub full of Kush Creams as long as you do not open your mouth, you will not fail a UA, or you will not get high. I have often requoted at that because I think it's a really easy way to explain it.
And then what's the best arthritic cream? Is there a component that works the best for that?
A good topical. Arthritis is. I don't think there is anything better than cannabis. It's just a good quality topical. Try one, try a name that's trusted, and there really isn't anything better.
But I would say for arthritis, you're not looking for THC there, you're looking for THCA and CBD. Those are the two anti-inflammatories. THC is not it for arthritis.
Don't write that down.
Circle back to my first question. If it was a transdermal product and you took a bathtub in it, you would be very high.
Very
And high is a funny word. So like we have a lot of, you'll see bath salts out there a lot. We have an infused Epsom salt, and it basically acts as a full body massage. And if you get a full body massage with a product, or you take an Epsom salt bath, like some people need help out of the bathtub because the whole body is really, really relaxed. Now the mind might not be going funny, but who's to say that doesn't make you, it could be quite a physical sensation, which, in a sense feels high to some people, so.
I've received 3 testimonials for Oz bath salts through my website for people being in tears and unable to get out of the bathtub because they had so much relief.
Oh, that's great.
I thought they were my products. Just in this last year.
All the anointing.
I've been meaning to tell you this. Yeah, this is hilarious.
Got a question over here?
Okay.
From the retail market again, I want to thank all of you. I didn't come from medical. You guys, the topicals are the first time I've seen people actually come in with tears of joy. People that have no interest in being in our store at all. So this is kind of an anecdotal question and then a second part question. The first is, I have had the generational younger person come in buy it for their parent, and their parent came in after use and said, I love this, blah, blah, blah. Never would have come in here otherwise. I love that it doesn't get me high. Then they ask the question that I have to dodge, and it's an ethical, moral, legal question. And that is, I have someone in the family under the age of 18 that has arthritis or has severe pain. This doesn't get us high. can I put this on them? Am I going to be in trouble? Should I? Could I? Would I? I'm of course restricted by legal, but there's that moral, ethical as well. And then second to that is, same thing I asked from the edibles, is there any chance that you guys in your trade group can put out a combined educational either booklet or that explains THC, CBD, all the different things, because we as bud tenders have no real knowledge how to break that down in the topicals. And I'm sorry, one third one, is there any potential that the state will just take away the 37% excise tax on your product and still allow us to sell it in the 502 market? No.
Well, I'll start with the first part. We do a lot of work with Realm of Caring in Colorado. We work with hundreds of kids. I am all for it. If we can get a kid off opiates and all sorts of other drugs just using CBD or THC oil, by all means, I'm all for it. We've actually done a lot of work with the legislature in Colorado to allow kids to medicate at school. From my opinion, by all means, yes.
I got in trouble specifically by the LCB for that purpose. That somebody, figured out that our muscle melt is stops the pain of a bee sting almost instantaneously. So all of a sudden on Facebook, we had a lot of people saying, "Oh my God, I put this on my kid," and they stopped crying like right away. And that got back to the LCB, and they told me that they came to me that people are talking about putting your products on children, and we had to go where I went to the writing back on social media. Whatever you do, don't talk about that on social media. But that actually did kind of come up where people were putting the topical on their kids, and the LCB certainly doesn't like that. And from a retail point of view, you definitely want to plead the fifth with that. We're not allowed to say that, but it won't get them high.
So two things. The ICHABAPA, which is the International Cannabis Health and Beauty Aids Producers Alliance, which all four of these companies sit at the table at, is a think tank and a support group. It's not a business alliance. So, I mean, it's an alliance, it's not an association. So we probably won't be releasing any joint statement in the near future. Just that's one thing. And then as far as CHABA is concerned, like when you talk retail, are you talking 502 retail or mainstream retail?
Well, honestly, I would personally, I don't think the product should be found at 502 stores at all, or the excise tax. I think it's a completely separate product that should be available for anyone that has pain.
I agree with you, but as I'm trying to make the distinction of what the LCB has control over and what they don't. The LCB can't really tell me what to do with my CHABA products because, as far as what I say that they're good for. I think my massage oil is perfect for baby massage. I don't have a problem with that at all, and I will definitely talk about that. I don't think when you're talking about products can be sold in Bartell's and Whole Foods and Ace Hardware, you're not going to be able to say don't use these products when your kid get burned on the stove. So I'm comfortable saying yes, they're fine for kids.
Yes, sir.
I
think you guys have a tremendous marketing opportunity. You've got a great audience right here. You know a lot of health conditions, that some of the things you've experienced in terms of topicals and what it helps with. If you guys would just even maybe go down the line and maybe blow our minds with what it can do, I think that'd be really powerful.
Well, I've got two quick examples, just my latest two favorites. So a 65-year-old woman called me, and I can't even remember the specific condition, but she has some crazy rash on her back, so bad that she is bleeding it open. She's scratching it and bleeding it open. She's been on every steroid cream possible to make this go away. She calls me, this is on Monday. She said, I put your soul's desire on my back for the very first time on Friday. By Sunday, it's gone. The issue is gone after 3 years of being, told by doctors that she's going to have to pay hundreds of dollars in steroid cream. The other one is also a skin issue. A friend of mine, father was in the Korean War, came back from the Korean War with some crazy rash on his face. This man has lived with that rash on his face for 40 years again because traditional medicine could not help him. After 40 years of living with it, he started using Cannabis Basics. It's gone. It's done. So those are like two dramatic, and they come in, these guys will all testify. It comes in all the time, never get tired of hearing the stories.
like definitely any inflammation is really important. It's an anti-inflammatory. A lot of acute pain ends up being like there's an inflammation and it kind of moves the joint out of socket a little bit so that it just keeps on getting inflamed, and it can be there for years. And all you really have to do is remove that inflammation, and all of a sudden like that joint is better. So that's the one thing that's crazy, is that it's not just this thing you put on and it works for a couple hours. Like sometimes it like stops these really acute pains until you like injure it again. Nerve issues are really deep nerve issues. So one of the biggest ones I get is plantar fasciitis, sciatica, so just deep nerve things. Definitely skin issues is a really, really big one. A lot of people can use it on old scar tissue, and the scars disappear. And then I have my wife uses, she has like a fibroid that's very internal. And just kind of around where the area, and it'll nullify the pain of that. But yeah, nerves, definitely joints is a huge one. Muscle issues are a huge one. One way I tell people to try it is you go work out, for the first time in like a year, and you're going to be sore for a couple days, and use it on one half of your body. It's crazy.
Recently I just got a really neat testimonial, and this is probably the 5th or 6th time I've heard this one, but due to diabetic-associated neuropathy, often there's loss of toenails, and the 6th or 7th time now I've gotten really heartfelt testimonials about toenail regrowth from applying the Kush creams on the feet after the loss of toenail. Most recently, a sister and sister-in-law had seen her sister's results, also had neuropathy, diabetic-associated, and is already regrowing back toenails after, less than a half an ounce of usage so far. We've had quite a few testimonials over the last year. A newer one that came in is loss of weight. I kind of was interested in that one, but it's gain in range of mobility, being able to move around at better quality of life. It was kind of interesting to me. Back to the kids one, I want to touch on that real quick. One of our most popular products for kids is one for eczema. We use our unscented cream. It's just a huge thing in the Northwest with kids and eczema. I find that's really rampant. We do emu oil as our delivery vessel for Kush creams. I personally feel really strongly, if you guys have ever heard me talk before, I'm a big advocate for emu oil. I believe in the delivery system. I believe in how it works. Emu oil is one of the only oils that's proven to regenerate hair growth, regrowth on the front lobal section. We do a chemotherapy shampoo and conditioner, and the hair regrowth and the hair retaining and the chemo radiation stories are very touching. We do an acne or a face cream that I get a ton of testimonials for clearing up zits, and I'm just like, what? That's for fine lines, wrinkles. We have different estheticians and dermatologists and spas that now carry that product, and they've explained to me that the pores.
Is there an opportunity in the spa market, the massage market, and that's
For Chaba.
right for Chaba? Right now we can't do it
All
with
day already there. Yeah.
but there is kind of a subterranean.
There's a lot of health practitioners that are sending people to 502 stores. It's one of our biggest ways that people hear about us, from doctors and chiropractors, massage therapists, sports therapy. Sending people to get it. So it's certainly something that people like to use. Massage therapists like to use it. Yeah.
On that note, sports medicine is really one of our biggest markets. We actually just started sponsoring an ultra runner. This guy runs 100-mile marathons and uses CBD to not vomit while he's running, and then to recover from all of the pain of running 100 miles. Likewise, we just decided to sponsor the X Games this year, so we're really getting in front of that young athletic market. In Colorado, we get one of our biggest sales pushes of the year is everyone's up in the mountains. That's a huge sales opportunity. Just healthy people in general who just want some relief. Maybe don't want to take an Advil or a Vicodin after.
Sports Illustrated is actually doing their first review on any cannabis topical products, and it's going to be on our Permafrost edition, and that's going to be on newsstands.
Right on!
The reporter flew out here to get the products from me last year at CannaCon, and at that point really kind of became infatuated with the whole sports medicine and cannabis theory, and he writes for Outside Magazine, and there's going to be a full story next summer too. On Outside Magazine, not Sports Illustrated. Sports Illustrated is a little tiny bar. Little tiny sidebar.
Right on. Okay, we are at the end. We have one more question. Yes, Gwen.
I know I got on the tail end, but did you say, Megan, that one of your products works with regrowing hair?
Yes, we actually started doing a chemotherapy shampoo and conditioner after years of people telling us that applying the cream helped with the chemotherapy. So we do a emu oil-based cannabis chemotherapy shampoo, conditioner, and then a tingly one that's similar to Nioxin for men called Braid Freeze, along with a scalp spray too.
I was asking because I'm in the hair and beauty supply business, and we also have a salon. Yeah. And one of the issues with our African American women is after weaves and braiding and all that, our edges are coming out, and they're desperate to find. I'm gonna be rich here pretty soon.
I started with Cannabis Market Tacoma.
Because it's gonna be something that I'm not gonna give out the secret either until, you know, yeah, but it's
You got
great.
it.
that You have such a wide range of products that can help. And my God, if I don't get this in my store, I'm stupid. So there you go.
And the reason why it does work, the reason why it does work, so how it works on cancer is it's an anti-cell proliferative, but it's also a cell regenerator. And so that's why it's helping to grow toenails back, why it helps with the hair growth.
I'm so excited.
It's only 2% of the industry, or 0.2% of the industry, but it's a really cool 0.2%.
Yeah.
Well, and so I'm going to wrap this up. This is a wonderful group. Obviously, what you see here is the leadership, not only here in Washington, but this is a nascent industry outside of Mary's Medicinals. You don't see a whole lot of this in Colorado. You don't see a whole lot of the brand development. We really are ground central here in the Puget Sound, Pacific Northwest for topicals. You're seeing national press. It's touching sports. It's touching geriatrics. It's touching the non-cannabis market. This is going to be huge. Mark my words, right? So thank you for this wonderful session. Let's hear it from the panel. Thank you very much.